In today's episode, we'll delve into why you're so afraid of rejection and what you can do about it. Welcome to Success Reimagined. I am Dr. Amna Shabbir, your host on this journey to thrive at the intersection of ambition and wellness. In every episode, I'll help you challenge outdated definitions of success, discover practical tools and strategies for growth without compromising your well being. I am so glad you've joined me. Let's reimagine what's possible together. Hearing no is not a failure, not asking is. One of the biggest things that keeps us stuck in life is the fear of rejection, the fear of hearing the word no. It's often not the no itself that holds us back, but what we make the no mean about us. What that signifies in our personal lives. When I hear the word no, what does that mean about me? For example, I am an entrepreneur and I am a physician. I have been in both situations where I needed to take risks. I needed to put myself out there, but I was so afraid of hearing the word no. And then actually, I had to ask myself this question, and through some deep work that I did with my own coach, I recognized it wasn't really the no, it's what I was making the no mean about me, about my choices, about the risks that I was taking. And that really was keeping me stuck and paralyzed where I was. I was afraid to advocate for myself. If I look back into my physician life, I was really scared of asking for simple things that I knew would improve the quality of my life at work, would probably decrease my burnout. But I was so afraid that I will hear the word no, and I don't want to hear the word no at all. So I just kept myself small and stuck where I was because of that fear. And then when we talk about being an entrepreneur and being where I am right now, I also continuously still have to face that fear of hearing the word no, such as recording this podcast. I'm putting myself out there. Some of you might resonate with my work, and for some, it does not gel well with you. And when I do this act of putting myself out there authentically as I am afraid of hearing the word no. No, we don't like you. No, we don't like what you're talking about. But that is a risk that I am now willing to take. But before that, I was staying in analysis and paralysis and all those things because I was so afraid of hearing the word no, because what was the no significant of? No meant that I was a failure. No meant that what I was doing was not good enough. And so today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through why it's okay for you to feel that way and for you to reflect, why are you thinking the way you're thinking? What does the no mean in your life? I'll share some fun examples and things that you can try out. And really, by the end of this episode, I want you to start thinking about how you're keeping yourself stuck just by this fear of hearing the word no. So, first, I want to congratulate you. If you are, in fact, afraid of hearing the word no, that means your brain is doing exactly what it was meant to do. Evolutionary psychology suggests that humans are wired to fear rejection because in early societies, rejection could mean isolation, it could mean exclusion from the group. You were probably going to be out on your own, and that was really dangerous. Even today, that's what happens. Rejection feels threatening because it challenges our sense of belonging and self-worth. Number two is the fact that rejection is also tied to your self-identity. Many people really internalize rejection, like myself, because we see it as a representation of who we are. So, for example, if I go outside and I want to achieve something and I pitch myself for some venture, I'm taking the example of entrepreneurship, and I hear the word no. What does that mean? Does the no mean that I'm not good enough, or my work and the other person's work is not aligned, or I am not deserving, or something is inherently wrong with me? So, separating our innate worthiness and who we are, our identity, from an actual situation, separating the two, that's really necessary, but we don't do that. That's how our brains are wired. We think that both of these things are the same. And research shows that people also who have low self-esteem, they're more likely to avoid situations where rejection is possible, which leads to missed opportunities and stagnation. I also like to point out this fact that when we are our worst critics and we are so hard on ourselves, and the self-criticism is so unpleasant, And that keeps us paralyzed where we are at. We definitely don't even want to go forward and take the action because we're so scared of how we're going to treat ourselves after that. Afterwards, what is your internal dialogue with yourself going to be? I want to invite you to do a reflective exercise together so that you can understand and recognize what you are making no mean for yourself. So, first question is ask yourself, is there something I've been wanting to do but haven't because I am afraid of hearing the word no? And then ask yourself this question. What am I making that no mean for me? Does that mean you're not good enough? Does that mean you're unworthy of success? What are you making it mean for yourself? And then point number three is to try and reframe the meaning. I know it's not easy. You can't just do it right away, but it's great to just pause and reflect at least instead of saying the word no and seeing it as a personal failure, as an inherent flaw. Can you look at it as a process of growth, a process of learning? Because, you've heard this quote, every no brings you closer to a yes. So try and do this brief reflective activity because here's what's happening. Right now, you are already failing. You are already preemptively failing by not taking that challenge head on, by staying on the sidelines. When you are going through analysis paralysis, not making a choice is also a choice. You're actively and consciously already choosing. You are overthinking and you're paralyzed by fear of rejection and not taking action. And so you're already living the worst case scenario in advance, preemptively, by not asking yourself, you are living that worst case scenario and you're stuck. You're stuck and you're afraid of being somewhere where you might have to hear the word no. I came across this concept of rejection resilience and rejection therapy when somebody intentionally seeks rejection to build resilience. And this, what it does is it takes rejection and it reframes it to an opportunity for growth instead of that of a personal failure. A really fun example I came across was of Jia Jiang's, and you might have heard of it. It's called, what he did, it was an experiment called 100 Days of Rejection, in which he intentionally sought rejection for 100 days. He asked ridiculous things from people expecting to hear the word no, but it was very interesting. Things like, for example, borrowing $100 from a stranger or requesting for something like a free burger refill. I'll link to his TED Talk where you're watching this and listening to this right now. And many of his requests, they were surprisingly met with a yes later on. And sometimes he even, after he heard the word no initially, that reaction then later on, that rejection then was changed into a positive from a no to a yes. And he also started to realize that it wasn't as painful as he imagined. And his main takeaway from this fun experiment of 100 days of rejection was the more you ask, the less intimidating rejection becomes. Every no is simply a step towards a yes. There's also research by Angela Duckworth on grit, and that shows that persistence and passion for long-term goals are predictors of success. And what she encourages is to cultivate grit by embracing no as part of this necessary step towards your success. It's part of the process, it is part of the journey. Now that you have taken this opportunity to reflect at what you're making no mean for yourself, I invite you to take small actions today. You can start right away. Think about what is one thing that you have been avoiding because you're afraid of hearing the word no, whether it's advocating for yourself at work, pitching a new idea, or having a difficult conversation. Can you take one small step today? You might hear the word no. Yes, you might hear it. But by asking, you're already succeeding because you're moving forward. And sometimes we need help. We need support, right? A lot of this work can sound very overwhelming when you're doing it by yourself. And if you are looking for somebody to help uncover your blind spots behind these fear of rejection and all these other fears that are surfacing, I would be happy to support you through one-on-one coaching. You're welcome to schedule a complimentary session with me where you're watching and listening to this. You will be able to get a link for that. You don't have to do it all alone, but you can start this process today. Don't stay stuck where you are at because you're afraid of hearing the word no. You are worth so much more than that. I love this quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's commonly and widely known as the man in the arena. And I'm going to read this to you because rejection does not define you. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly? So today I invite you to dare greatly and not be afraid of hearing the word no. You might believe you don't have the time or energy to focus on yourself, but this is exactly the right time to get serious about your well-being. You don't have to do it all alone. I'm here to help. If you enjoyed this video and are ready to take the next step, head over to dramnashabir.com where you'll find free resources you can access right away. The website link is below. Let's get started on your path to thriving.